170 bikers were arrested following the brawl here in Waco that left 9 bikers dead. Members of groups including the Bandidos and the Cossacks, who were key groups in this dispute, told us that they said to members to lay low.
I believe that justice should be served for whoever was at fault.
Hello everyone! In this episode of Life of Bikers, we will explore the intense world of biker gang rivalries. From turf wars to fierce confrontations, we're uncovering the real stories behind the chrome and leather. What sparks these feuds? How do they impact the lives of those involved? Stay tuned to know. Major rivalries and their impacts. The Bandidos versus Comancheros. The Bandidos and Comancheros in Australia have been at odds since 1984, starting with the infamous Milperra Massacre. This brutal showdown at the Viking Tavern resulted in 7 deaths and 28 injuries. The root of the conflict? A group led by Comancheros President Jock Ross split from the Bandidos after Ross was threatened with expulsion due to personal issues, including his infidelity with another member's wife. Ross's reaction was to start a new club, sparking the intense rivalry. The showdown at Milperra wasn't just a tragic event. It was a turning point that led to major changes in gun laws in New South Wales, especially because the Comancheros were known for brazenly carrying registered shotguns in public. The tension between the Bandidos and Comancheros escalated to the point of declaring formal war in August 1984. This long-standing feud has led to continuous police crackdowns, resulting in over 400 arrests by 2008 and several convictions of club members for murder and manslaughter, with sentences ranging up to life in prison. This ongoing conflict between the Bandidos and Comancheros has really cemented the public's negative view of biker clubs, painting them often as violent and criminal. Hells Angels versus Outlaws. The Hells Angels and the Outlaws have been locking horns since the early days of outlaw motorcycle clubs, tracing their feud back to the late 1960s and early 1970s. This initial period of conflict, known as the first Hells Angels Outlaws conflict, was essentially a battle for control over various regions, resulting in numerous violent encounters between the two groups. Fast forward to 1974, and a second wave of conflict kicked off, a rivalry that's still alive and well today. In this ongoing feud, the Hells Angels have been trying to make a comeback in North Carolina, while the Outlaws have been busy in Florida, talking to local businessmen and real estate owners about setting up new chapters. This long-standing rivalry has definitely shaped how people see biker clubs. Both the Hells Angels and the Outlaws are often viewed through a lens of violence and criminal behavior. The constant battles not only tarnish their image, but also have real-world impacts on the members and their communities. Sadly, these clashes between the clubs frequently result in severe injuries and even deaths. Bandidos versus Hells Angels. The Bandidos and Hells Angels have been at loggerheads for a long time, and their rivalry really heated up back in 2004. That year, the Bandidos started moving into the Hells Angels territory in northern Germany. By 2006, their conflict had spread eastward, and it hasn't simmered down since. This ongoing feud between the Bandidos and the Hells Angels has not only led to a series of legal battles, but has also seen quite a few physical confrontations, as both clubs have been determined to hold their ground in different regions. Naturally, this rivalry has only deepened the negative image many people have of biker clubs, often associating them with violence and criminal activities. The feud between the Rock Machine and Rebels motorcycle gangs in Perth, Western Australia, kicked off in 2009 and has been full of drama ever since. It all began when the Rock Machine, originally from Canada, decided to expand down under, setting up their first Australian chapter in 2008 and then quickly adding a chapter in Sydney. The real sparks flew when they established a third chapter in the Perth suburb of Milperra in mid-2009, led by none other than the Rock Machine Canada National President, Joseph Critical J. Strachan. This expansion didn't sit well with the rebels, especially when some of their members decided to switch sides and join the Rock Machine, igniting a violent clash that hasn't let up. The conflict has seen its share of dramatic episodes, including a massive brawl at a nightclub in July 2010, a firebombing attack on a Rebels member's car, and a fight that erupted during a mixed martial arts event in November 2010. These clashes have not only led to the arrest of over 50 members from both clubs, but also the seizure of a significant stash of high-grade explosives from the Rock Machine's clubhouse in Myrie. Rock Machine versus Rebels. The ongoing showdown between the Rock Machine and Rebels biker gangs in Western Australia kicked off in 2009. It was when the Rock Machine, hailing from Canada, set up shop in Australia and snagged some Rebels members along the way. Since then, it's been a wild ride of turf wars and power struggles between the two crews. Things have gotten pretty heated, with all sorts of violent incidents popping off. There have been nightclub brawls, car bombings, and even showdowns at MMA events. The tension hit a peak in 2010 when the Rebels rolled through Fremantle looking for trouble, and things got messy. But the drama didn't stop there. In 2013, the Rock Machine merged with the Bandidos after clashing with the Rebels, but that didn't put an end to the beef. Just last year, there was a shooting at a Mongol bikie's place, involving the Rock Machine. Authorities are keeping a close eye on the situation, especially since explosives and drugs have been thrown into the mix. It's definitely raised some eyebrows about public safety, and the cops have been busy trying to keep the peace with a bunch of arrests along the way. The Coffin Cheaters versus Finks. Since 2010, there's been a long-running beef between the Coffin Cheaters and Finks. It all started when the Finks split from the Coffin Cheaters, leading to a big fight at the Kwinana Motorplex. From then on, they've been at each other's throats with constant clashes, showing just how much they can't stand each other. Causes of rivalries. Why do outlaw motorcycle clubs, OMCs, so often find themselves at odds? The roots of their rivalries are complex, intertwining territorial ambitions, economic goals, personal vendettas, and deep-seated cultural differences. Territorial disputes are perhaps the most visible cause. Just like nations, clubs often vie for control over geographic areas to expand their influence and resources. These disputes can escalate into serious conflicts when boundaries are crossed or challenged. A stark example is the ongoing feud between the Bandidos and Comancheros in Australia, where both clubs have clashed over dominance in various regions since 1984. Economic interests also play a critical role. Clubs operate not just for social or recreational purposes, but often engage in commercial activities, some licit and others not. They might compete to monopolize opportunities such as merchandise sales or event promotions. More nefariously, conflicts can arise from illegal ventures like drug trafficking or extortion, as seen in the conflict between the Rock Machine and Rebels in Australia, which started in 2009. Personal conflicts between members can ignite broader hostilities between clubs. What might start as an individual grievance can quickly involve entire clubs, leading to violent encounters. For instance, the Hellraiser Ball hosted by the Hells Angels in New York in 1994 escalated into a major clash due to personal animosities between members from different clubs. Cultural and ideological differences further complicate relations between clubs. Each club often has its own unique philosophy, codes, and values, which can be diametrically opposed to those of another club. Such differences led to the Quebec Biker War in Canada, starting in 1994, between the Hells Angels and the Rock Machine, highlighting how ideological conflicts can fuel long and bitter rivalries. As we've explored, the rivalries among biker clubs have deep roots and continue to evolve, influenced by shifts in leadership, membership dynamics, and changing societal attitudes. The scars of past conflicts still linger, significantly shaping how these clubs are viewed and their role within broader society. Even today, the ongoing disputes among lesser-known clubs like the Lonely Ones underline the persistent nature of these conflicts within the biker world. What do you think the future holds for these storied rivalries? Will changes in society and within the clubs themselves lead to a decrease in conflicts, or will the legacy of the past continue to fuel these fierce disputes? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights on the world's biggest biker club rivalries.